F3G2. I am an idiot.
Yes.
First up, The Amazing Spider-Man number 797. No, wait, I read that backwards. 797. Anywho, there are morons on the internet right now freaking the fuck out over trying to get copies of these because one of these he will eventually be the first official appearance as the Carnage Osborn amalgam that is the Red Goblin. And they all seem to think that shit's going to be worth money. But right now, the only people that are paying the, 40, 60, ridiculous amount are those same idiots trying to get them, probably buying them online from their own local comic shops, who are like, oh, I sold that. Rick's got these all over out there. Cover price. And you know what? 2 to 3 months after it's out, and all you putzes have paid you $40 and $60 a pop online, it'll go back to, somewhere between cover price and $5. So, chillax, people. The days of a comic book investing market being anything other than a short-term flippity-roo, they're gone. They died with the death of Superman, but then Superman came back, and being able to, comics as an investment never did. Just remember that. That's my tip for you in case you want to invest comics. They suck. Anyway,
you are a small petty man.
You want to invest in comics? Go buy Silver Age and Golden Age comics. Ta-da! Anywho, Dan Slott killing people. Can I just say how much I love J. Jonah Jameson as a Spidey confidant now? Even though that technically happened in Peter Parker, but it carried over to this, and I'm loving it. Even though it turns out that J. Jonah Jameson being on your side, he can accidentally hurt you far worse than J. Jonah Jameson trying to prove you're a menace for most of your life. Sweet Christmas. Oh, Jonah. One phrase too many. One phrase too many. Spoilers. This whole issue is told through flashback and narrated by Norman Osborn, who is talking to someone he has tied up. Someone close to... I don't know, Norman Osborn must be an idiot, or whatever magic it was. Maybe we can blame the magic and say that it's keeping his brain from working like it should. But he's got this whole, like every crime show where they have all the pictures and the strings, trying to figure out this whole web, if you will, leading to trying to figure out who's Spider-Man, and he's connected it to everyone. Peter Parker's not on this wall. And it's the one thing that's glaringly obviously missing. When you're like, well, there's a connection between the Daily Bugle and my son and Mary Jane Watson and all these things. It's like, yeah, it's fucking Peter. Peter is missing. And he's trying to figure it out, and he knows that somehow J. Jonah Jameson knows more than he's letting on. And he's like, and J. Jonah gets, he's like, I'm not going to tell, and he's all tied up. He's like, I don't care. He goes, you think you can beat him? You think you're just going to put on the Goblin suit and beat him? That never worked. No matter what you do, he comes back. You terrorize him, he comes back. You threaten him, he comes back. You beat the crap out of him, he comes back. You throw his girl off a bridge, he comes back. And Norman's like, wait.
What?
Throw his girl off a... Parker. It's been back there the whole time, and I just couldn't get it. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And
shit.
Jonah's sitting there sweating and tight and then going, what have I done? I love it. I mean, it's going to suck for Peter, obviously.
Again.
But it sucked for Peter before. Bang. Hunter Bay.
Mamba.
My felons are exhausting, and I was up late.
Yes.
Because my felons are exhausting, and my wife is hot. So, anywho, Bruce and Selena get married. In an attempt to save the Earth in her usual overzealous ways. Poison Ivy has taken over everybody on Earth. Bruce deducts Allah. In a very Keaton Bruce Wayne moment, he deduces it's through the food. Because there's no other reason he can imagine why he'd be letting people continue to eat salads and stuff and whatever. So he knows it's through the food, and he's got to find a way to stop it. That's also a guy that's missing. Is some of the Wayne Foundation was a guy who had an allergy to all vegetables. He couldn't eat any plant life. So it's that extreme. But fuck it, if a guy can come from another planet and fly because our sun's a different color, and not just die because he's on another planet, then fuck it. A guy can have an allergy to all plant life, and somehow survive on a planet that's, well, maybe global warming's helping him. Deforestation is your friend. Anywho, they stop in a Bat Burger joint where a guy dressed as Batman serves, but everybody talks in green font. Except Bruce and Selena, who I love the way Tom King uses Selena as a great window to reflect all the Bat mythos and kind of call it out for being ridiculous. Like, as she says, you've got, what does she say? She says something to him about, the whole Bat motif and whatever. And, she's like, you have real problem taking compliments. I put things in context. You should see someone about that, about putting things in context. Well, and also the whole Bat thing, I suppose. The Bat strikes fear into the hearts of criminals. I'm a criminal. My heart is fairly fear-free. They're coming. Why are we talking about this? and eventually he's like, if I have a whole Bat thing, you have a whole cat thing. Of course I do. Why is it different? Who said it's different? Then why? She's like the ultimate match for him in like,
I'm out on the ridiculous, but ride it anyway.
There's a horrifying moment where they're talking through Superman, who's being controlled, and
Lord.
Bruce takes Superman out with a whistle, which he bet that he could do, and she's like, you did it, Superman with a whistle. Not Superman. Clark knows when not to listen. I took out, because it's Superman's powers. He whispers in, leans in like he's gonna whisper. I have something to tell you. I don't want her to hear. So Superman, of course, tones up, the super hearing to hear it, and all Clark does is just whistle, and Super falls out of the sky because he was so focused on that one sound that it was just like a cannon went off in his head. But Bruce explains that wouldn't work on Superman, but on, Ivy controlling Superman, sure. But then Superman comes down and they have Batman and Catwoman are tied up hanging off a roof, and Ivy they're interrogating each other through Supes, and then he makes Ivy so mad that she just has Superman full strength punch him or as much full strength as she can get him to use. Punch Superman in his face. She just steals him in his shit. And there he is, dangling with the mask is ripped. His face is... It's not good.
Ooh.
And,
Ooh.
they have him in the hospital. But Ivy reveals to Catwoman, Catwoman's like, is he dead? And she's like, he was. I brought him back. Magic, science, surgery. There's someone for everything. So, because she controls everybody, she was able to get in people like, like Zatanna and, brilliant surgeons and, reconstructive physicists, everybody that was needed to basically kind of
put the Bat back together.
To do the Bat equivalent of,
Humpty Dumpty.
So that was intense. Blue Beetle number 18, the end for now. Ties up the loose ends. sets Jaime's relationships in order. He's still working for Ted. Ted's got ideas that are a bit kooky, even by Ted's.
You get the scarab back.
Some people try to. He's had the scarab back forever. Get with the program.
Last time
Program?
he was still in Ted's old suit.
We've reviewed this.
We haven't had that on the show in a while.
Yeah, we
keep missing episodes.
You're a silly man. Silly man. Ted creates Bert, a AI device that has been locked off from the internet and has been running his whole building. But then Bert overhears them saying how he's going to upgrade this new thing that works like Bert, only better. And Bert decides to rebel, and they have to, fight their way out of Ted's robotics lab, which is run by Bert. So Bert's building more robots as they're destroying them. But in the end, hopefully this is a nice jumping on point for something better for both of them, because I love Blue Beetle. Ted Kord will always be my first comic book hero love. And Jaime's cool. However, I loved Jaime's original series, and everything since then has been lackluster. This had all the right ingredients to be all the right things, and unfortunately, it never was. This was never great for either character. They were never utilized to their best. I mean, Keith Giffen, who, of course, you'd think the name Keith Giffen, you're like, oh, both, he made one Beatle famous, he made one Beatle a household name and co-created the other Beatle. This must be perfect. But no, he really just used it as a platform to, this is the book everybody said they'd buy. Good. I'm going to wrap up all the loose ends from my series that nobody bought in here because people are going to buy it because it's this. But then they stopped buying it because it's just these things that one person cared about, and it was me. I was the only one out there who cared about the final fate of Justice League 2000 and Omactivate,
let's be honest, Cobble too, as far as Omac goes.
Did he care enough to buy it?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in forever.
He didn't buy it, so he clearly didn't care enough. But anywho, then when what the hell's Christopher Sabella came on, he did some interesting, but nothing to, what I mean. He clearly knew the series was but no big leaps or adventures there. Almost kind of a poor Jaime. Forget Ted for a second. Those words came out of my mouth. Poor Jaime has been, he had a 5-year run about when he got rebooted, and then had a 5-year run in his, his first reboot, the New 52 version only lasted like another year, and then they went to New 52, so he's been rebooted 3 times, like every 5 years, this poor cat. So, but what that means is we're seeing a lot of the same things, and it's like, this didn't utilize his family to the fullest extent. In the original series, Jaime's family was like, they weren't just key to Jaime, they were key to that book, his relationship with his mother, his father, his sister. And they were there, but it wasn't utilized as well. And his friends, with their truncated, we've been rebooted. How many times can you watch his 2 friends not know they like each other, and then eventually fall in love? Because we've already seen it 3 times now. And the one friend's aunt is a super villainous. We've seen it 3 times now. Boom, boom, boom. So it really didn't utilize what could have been done, what should have been done, and hopefully something better will be coming down the lines for both characters. I think they should realize that what they really should have done to utilize it right is they should have just added an S to the end of that. They should have called it Blue Beetles, and it should have been Jaime with the scarab and Ted doing his Ted thing, and give both people what they want and work them together as almost like a juxtaposed Batman and Robin, where like the Batman character is just a guy in a suit, but the Robin character has like all these powers. The Robin character is the heavy hitter, and and there's so much potential there that they just never tagged on.
I actually like that idea.
I think that the experience, and the fact that the one with all the experience is the goofy is the guy, but he acts more like a child. Whereas the one with all the Peter Parker like great responsibility, great power comes great responsibility, is the
the guy and the guy
has the maturity, but is the kid. So they can kind of play off each other. There's so much potential there. Savage Dragon fights the Wraith, who is, let's go with like a Canadian superpowered Punisher. He's killing a coach who molested kids and nobody believed him. He was one of the kids, and his sister, his sister killed herself as a result of it. Meanwhile, there's Michael Dragon in the other realm from one of the other Earths. Instead of a Malcolm, there was a Michael. He's running around naked with with both of Dragon's exes and Angel. And in current Savage Dragon fashion, he's talking about, he's explaining how he got there. And they're like, well, thanks for saving our lives, Michael. We couldn't have escaped without your help. What can we do to repay you? And he's just like, and they're like, it's not a trick question. And so apparently there's more Dragon threesomes happening, and with two exes apparently getting in on their son, an alternate dimension version of their ex's son. I don't know, whatever. So that's the thing. We do see that Dragon's wife, despite some horrifying visuals, of just a single drip can say so much. Oh. But apparently she does still have her version of great power comes great responsibility. Of when she finds out that the bad guy's out there, she's willing to pry herself literally and physically off of her husband so he can go save the day. It is a scene that ends with "Don't start without me." Too late. It's a good thing this couch cover is washable. It's a Dragon Savage, but in the current urban sense. But in an interesting twist of events that I'm not sure what's going on. Dragon uses his Wraith can walk through people. He tries walking through Wraith when Dragon uses his power from his mother and does his little electric burst, which kills Wraith apparently, but he's stuck now in Dragon. Dragon's like, God damn it, don't be dead. Jesus, please don't. No.
And he's dead.
Shit. So he's dead. And he's stuck inside of me. And I have no idea what to do about it. So that's the thing. Meanwhile, at home, interestingly enough, when he's clever, he's clever. Eric Larson has, for the first time in a long time, the wife is dressed for the entire issue, but she's dressed in a t-shirt for the band Bare Naked Ladies. When randomly lightning just bursts out of her mouth and out of her hoo-hoo. So I don't know what happened there. Side effect of powers, whatever. Savage Dragon. It's not your father's Savage Dragon. Wildstorm. Shit's getting real. Everybody's mad at everybody. Everybody's playing. Our group is playing everybody off of everybody else. And even though sometimes it's hard for me to tell the characters apart, art-wise, I love the new Wildstorm. I didn't think I was gonna, because I loved the old Wildstorm, but I love the new Wildstorm. Infinity Countdown #1. I read it because I don't know why. I just thought it might. Oh, it was kind of neat. You got pregnant Novas. You got Novas and Drax versus the Talons, which are basically like the evil Darkhawks. The Gardener, the ancient, one of the immortal entities, is nuts, and everybody's fighting him. And he's using, sentient plant life. And of course, as Groot comes through, Groot kind of heals him, but Groot's dying slowly. And that's baby Groot. And Groot kind of jumps on him and heals him. with all viney tendrils into his brain. Groot's the only one who makes it through. And Groot says, yeah, I am Groot. You know, what's that? I am Groot. 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 And he's like, well, I just saw the destruction of my work, and I am Groot. Yes, you are one of my works, too, aren't you? I nearly ruined you, haven't I? I am Groot. Well, what do you do? So he heals him, and he's like, oh, I remember now. Loki poisoned me. He's like, oh, forgive me, old friend. He's like, and he goes, now if it's not too late, grow strong like you once were at the beginning of your tale. Which leaves us with a gigantic Groot saying Groot forgives the gardener, but Groot will never allow the perversion of his limbs to wreak unintended havoc upon this or any other world. Now Groot goes to battle. Rocket's like, what the flark?
Speaking Groot.
Groot hails his friends. Join Groot as he smites his enemies. Has he ever? And Gamora's like, no. Groot hates this giant abomination. Groot will destroy it with his friends. What did Gardner do to Groot? And Star-Lord's response is, he restored his factory settings. And he basically did. So Groot is back to his 60s comic appearance. He's big, and he
can speak.
He speaks. Oblivion Song, by the end, was a lot cooler than I thought it would be. All right, this is the new Robert Kirkman with Lorenzo Di Felici. People disappeared years ago. Our whole city disappeared and ended up, turns out, in another dimension. There's an American-funded rescue project where people go in. Basically, one guy goes in, and he's been pulling out people, but lately he's been finding less and less and less. So they're defunding it. He hasn't found his brother yet, his brother Ed. So they're all like, look, we know you're just doing this for your brother. He's like, no, I got it. So he goes back one last time, does another check around, pops back out. Whereupon we find out that the people he just saved, there's always something wrong with them. They got to, when you get back, it kind of clears your mind. But the people that he just saved watch him for a while, and they're like, or these other people, like, they're mentioning the people he just saved, and they're like, they failed their mission. They were supposed to lure him out and catch him so we can find out what he's up to, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, maybe he's killing the people he takes. And then the one guy goes, Ed, what do you think? And it turns out the leader of the resistance that have been hiding on him because they don't know what's happening is
his brother.
His brother that he's looking for. So it's kind of cool. It's apocalyptic, but not at all,
not your typical fare.
Not at all Walking Dead apocalyptic. So it's its whole own own idea. Cap at a time, we find out that the Hulk is alive and Ben is alive. Ben's been lied to. Hulk, at the moment, seems to, by the end of the issue, turn back. And, days are saved and Cap is voted as new king, all leading to next issue's number 700. And then...
that Joe or Banner? Hulk. Joe or Banner?
Banner. Silly man. So, it's Wade and Samney. Read it. Avengers No Surrender. Shit is real. Turns out, all my complaining was for naught. It's all a plot point. What's her name really is fake. Memories have been implanted. She's not an Avenger. She was a leak on their side to try and set the balance off, and she does. She gets the final piece.
Blue Marvel?
No, Voyager.
Voyager.
We get some interesting little flashbacks. Tragically, I still have to live in a world where they now announce Sentry's getting his own series. So, fuck, I hate that guy. Just Ice Lost. Justice League, number 40. Justice League versus Justice League. Superheroes have a disagreement, but have to come together in order to save mostly other superheroes this time. Mech Cadet U, this book is so good, you should be reading it. Number 7. That should be the full title. Mech Cadet U, this book is so good, you should be reading it. With like 17 eyes. Greg Pak, Takeshi Miyazawa, and Triana Farrell.
The trade's out for that, right?
For the first part? Yeah. We find out what's going on. The man-made mechs run on the hearts of real mechs, and of course, you know, Earthborn soldiers have no problem. You know, Earthborn military has no problem killing sentient robots from space to create their own sentient robots from Earth. You know, because they're ours. So the team has to lead a little rebellion and fight to save the day while fighting to stop the bad guys. Is the general's daughter having a change of heart? And actually, certainly, possibly. Is her robot going to allow her to have that change of heart?
Not likely.
Bizarroverse, Part 1. Real Bizarroverse. Bizarro Planet, Bizarro Earth, Bizarro, you know, or Earth spelled backwards.
I love Bizarro Crypto.
Crypto wearing the glasses.
It's so ridiculous.
So they Jonathan and what the heck is her name? Jonathan and his little friend from Farmertown find a way to explore through, you know, she's of, as we've seen, she's of more than just this Earth. So they find a way to explore, and they get to Bizarro World, where Jonathan sees Bizarro Jonathan. But they kind of touch through this bubble thing that they're in. There's a frack-a-boom. Our group wakes up back on, Kathy and Jonathan end up back on Earth. And then, you know, you get some super family time, and Jonathan freaking out because his family's realizing he's crushing on Kathy. And then as Jonathan goes to sleep, Bizarro Jonathan crashes through the window yelling, "Goodbye," meaning hello, of course. There's a great, you may have to read it twice to fully understand, very introspective Clark line of thought in the beginning, thought by Bizarro.
Oh, Lord.
So it's all, you know, that backwards where you gotta figure things out and
take a minute to process it.
Bizarro's leaving red footprints like Superman used to leave the blue, so I don't know if there's got to be a Bizarro blue, Bizarro red merger. Maybe they're gonna merge him with the new 52 Bizarro, and then, you know, whatever. X-Men red. They keep drawing pictures of Nightcrawler eventually growing a goatee. I don't know how that works because he's fuzzy, like his actual fur. I don't know how that works. People seem to forget that. Gabby, a.k.a. Honey Badger, the clone of a clone of Wolverine, continues to be one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe. We get a full introduction of our two new mutant superhero team members. One is called Trinary, and she's a technomancer. She can, you know, speak to machines and internets and whatever. And of course, Gentle, who is a Wakandan mutant, who basically, it's like they forgot that they already have this. He's Strong Guy without the malproportioning. Strong Guy's ability was that he would, you know, when he used his power, it would kind of warp his body, and Strong Guy was always in pain and was in more pain the more he used it. That's why he had those little legs, but that big top half. Guido, the more he used his power, it like would hurt him and whatever. Gentle is apparently the same way. He can go toe-to-toe to the Hulk, but the more power he uses, it hurts him so bad that it could eventually kill him. So he's even when they draw him, look, he's top-heavy, you know, thicker legs than they used to draw on Guido, but he's top-heavy and, you know, and bulky up top, and then, you know, relatively normal legs. So he's the Wakandan Strong Guy named Gentle, which is probably just as ham-fisted a name as Strong Guy was. So naturally, much like Strong Guy, Gentle's already one of my favorite characters.
You have a type?
Well,
you have several types, but yes.
And finally, the last book I read this week was issue number 12, the final issue of Extremity, which was really good and really deep. So beautiful. But basically, peace comes at a price, and normally that price is paid not by the people who created the war, but by the generations after. And this is literally that, you know, and sometimes the older generation has to literally fight itself out so that the younger generation can claw their way back up to peace. And it's really deep and beautiful without being ham-fisted and in your face, to the point where it feels preachy or condescending. I loved that book. Everybody should read Extremity. And man, thanks to you. I got a big tailless Godzilla. Anybody wants a Godzilla tail? And look, we got a Doomsday Clock shirt. You can win neither of those by texting us or responding in the comments, because really it just belongs to somebody else.